Hi friends, Misella here from Learn to Grow. I hope that you guys are having a great week. I'm from the Pacific Northwest Zone 8. I'm just now getting ready to sow some seeds, our leafy greens, into our garden. We're about a week away from the last day of frost. A lot of these leafy greens are cold hardy, so I think they'll be okay in case we do have another day or two of frost. I'll be sowing some kale, some bok choy, lettuces, spinach, Mizuna, some beets, and we usually like to harvest these as baby greens for our salad. So I'll be sowing them every 2 weeks for a continual harvest or succession planting. We've also been getting some rain. It's supposed to rain the next 3 days, so I don't have to water after I sow the seeds. Let's go get some worm castings and compost from our compost bin. We'll get them in the ground and we'll sow some seeds. This is our compost tumbler. It's pretty much our worm bin. Lots of worm castings I can harvest today. I normally wait till the worms go beneath the castings and compost to get away from light. And then I'll be able to harvest some castings that I'm going to amend in the soil where I'll be planting our leafy greens. I usually add about 1 inch of worm castings into the soil and I just work it in there. I'm seeing a lot of these worm egg cases or worm cocoons in the compost and castings that I just harvested. So I usually pick them out so that way they can reproduce. There's usually at least 4 baby worms that hatch from these eggs. I think there's at least 12 in there, but only 4 of them are viable. But it's good to keep them so they can reproduce. This is where I'll be sowing the seeds. As you can see, there's some potato plant volunteers. Must be from the potatoes that we didn't harvest last fall. That's okay, I'm just going to plant around it. I'm going to go and leave them in there. All the leafy greens I'm planting today do well in full sun. You can also plant them in part sun, 4 to 6 hours, but 6 to 8 hours is best. These are all cool weather crops, so we want to get them in the ground as soon as possible. That way you get a nice harvest before they bolt or go to seed. So a lot of these leafy greens just need to be planted about 1/4 of an inch in depth, or you can just press them down in the soil lightly. So I've got some kale, some lettuces, oriental greens. I think I'm also going to sow some beet seeds. So some of these are from my garden, some bok choy. So I got to get this done right now because it's starting to sprinkle. I don't want the camera to get wet. These are kale seeds, and I'm thinking about just doing them in sections instead of rows because I have these potato plants too. So I think I'm just going to do like maybe a small square of kale. So I usually just kind of sprinkle them along here, just like so. And then you can just go ahead and take some soil and cover them with 1/4 of an inch of soil. I know it's hard to tell where the seeds are now, but that's okay. And within them out when they're about 2 inches tall. So we try to space them out at least 1 foot apart if you're growing them for the mature plants. If you harvest them for the baby greens like I do, I would just leave them the way it is since I'll be harvesting them when they're young. I'm trying out this Mizuna for the first time. They're oriental greens, and I think they're a pretty cold hardy crop. So I'm just going to go ahead and sprinkle some next to where I planted the kale seeds. So again, you can kind of press them down lightly. They just need to be buried about 1/4 of an inch deep. Or you can put some soil on top as well. Next section, I'm going to plant some red romaine. I just sprinkle them on top of the soil, and normally just press them down a little bit. The depth is about 1/4 of an inch. So you can kind of pour some soil over. So that's pretty much it. Now for succession planting or continual harvest, if you want to harvest these as baby greens, as well as letting them mature, you want to sow the seeds every 2 to 3 weeks. I also have this little bag left of Mesclun mix, and this is an excellent mix because you've got lettuces here, and I believe some kale, maybe some Mizuna mixed in there. It's all the leafy greens. You can purchase this mix just about anywhere. Well, we got some work done. Thank you so much for joining me today in the garden. And I hope that you guys are also having a great start on your gardens. So don't forget to tune in on Saturday. I'll be announcing the winners of our seed giveaway. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great week and happy gardening. Got my little helpers out here. They really wanted to help. We're gathering compost. We're making a compost pile there. pretty much covered our garden last fall with dried leaves and grass clippings. So now we're just trying to clear it out.